Still not convinced you need a drastic change in your diet? Well, here's some startling news. 65% of American adults over the age of 20 are either overweight or considered to be obese. That's a lot of people. That's most people, and that's not good. Research also states that more than 250,000 deaths each year within the US can be directly linked to obesity. Additional studies and research state that more than 64 million people have been diagnosed with at least one type of cardiovascular disease. In the United States, cardiovascular disease is considered the number one cause of death, consisting of 38% of deaths every year. An additional 50 million people in the US suffer from being hypertensive. Another 11 million have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now, obviously, this is not an exclusively American problem, but the United States is kind of at the center of this obesity epidemic, and that makes them a good example to talk about here. Now, with obesity becoming virtually an epidemic and the thousands of diets that have been created today to deal with it, I find myself wondering how people manage to stay thin and survive before the invention of modern grocery stores. There's no shortage of research on the effects of diet. There's also very little argument that modern foods and the chemicals and the products that we add to them have negative health effects and directly contribute to health problems and directly contribute to obesity. So why are they so popular? Well, in the United States, grains like corn are very cheap and easy to grow. All right? That's just a fact. And without a demand to meet the supply, a lot of money would be lost. So it's no surprise that the American food pyramid has grains at the cornerstone of a, quote unquote, healthy diet. And it's no coincidence, of course, that obesity rates skyrocketed with the introduction of this diet. Now, when you add in technology, making people even more sedentary, it's no surprise how bad things have gotten. Now, if you want to really understand food, you've got to understand the history of food. And the modern diet is considered to have started about 10,000 years ago. And you might be wondering, all right, what changed in human history for us to introduce a whole new diet? Well, I'll tell you, it was the introduction of, people starting to raise animals and starting to grow food. And obviously it allowed us to settle, it allowed us to build civilization. But there's a problem here because evolution requires a lot of time. We're talking about something that took, thousands, if not millions of years to occur. Now, the human genome has not really had enough time for us to adjust to these changes in lifestyle and to adjust to these changes in our environment. And when you add to all of this stuff that our patterns of human activity have significantly changed over just a few hundred years, it quickly becomes easy to recognize why dieting is such a huge topic in the modern world. Now, studies have shown that the relation between many modern chronic diseases found in Western civilization can be directly linked to the changes in modern society. Now, our biological makeup has not had time to adjust and evolve in order to accommodate these drastic changes. Now, as we discussed, the paleo diet focuses on the foundation of our diet. We're talking vegetables, fruits, animal proteins. The basic idea being to focus on eating the same way our ancestors ate thousands of years ago, before foods were processed and packed full of chemicals, packed full of preservatives, packed full of sugar. And the logical conclusion here is that a lot of the ailments that are currently plaguing modern Western society could be avoided by simply returning to a diet that consists of naturally occurring products within nature. Simple enough, right? So you may be wondering, about the origins and consequences of this diet. Paleo, in a nutshell, is about returning to the food and the eating habits of our past. And that basic outline of this new food pyramid starts with the bulk of your diet consisting of the fruits and vegetables that make up the base of the paleo diet pyramid. Now, next on the pyramid, meat, fowl, eggs, fish. The animal-based products would be, followed by nuts, seeds, fats and oils, nut butters. And then, the top of the pyramid would be small amounts of herbs, spices, extracts, supplements. So why should you make the switch to paleo? If you're interested in a strong body and you're ready to challenge the conventional wisdom that's kept the diet world unhealthy and fat, and you've got just a little bit of realistic dedication, the paleo diet may be right for you. So, what are you going to get out of making this change? Well, the first thing you're going to get is healthier fats. This diet requires you to eat healthy foods that have a lot of beneficial fatty acids. And these fats are very useful for your body because they can make you feel full for long periods of time. And that kills pesky cravings dead. Not only are you eating less junk, you can improve your level of good cholesterol by eating all the recommended items in the diet. You'll also get more energy. And when you follow this diet correctly, you are able to get a balanced meal that's tuned to the real needs of your human body. You'll improve your energy naturally, and that means no more sucking down caffeine like a junkie, and no more having, a wacky, pointless, random sleep cycle. Also, and this might be the most powerful benefit of paleo, you can eat until you feel full. You will never, ever have to worry about feeling hungry in the middle of the day as long as you eat the stuff that's approved. Now, this diet is also effective for people who want to lose weight quickly. This is going to limit your calorie intake. It's going to suppress your appetite significantly. And as a result, you don't have to feel hungry all the time. And you'll also slash your food cravings if you make it through the first couple of weeks. It's also important to remember that there are many studies showing that allergies are commonly caused by processed food, such as processed wheat, gluten, other processed foods. Now, you might have low-level allergies because of these things and not even know it. Now, this diet restricts you from consuming any kinds of processed foods. As a result, you're going to reduce the consumption of allergens in your daily routine. So, can you imagine how much better you'll feel when you're less sluggish, less sniffly, and you're enjoying life the way that it was meant to be enjoyed? When you go paleo, your immune system will really, really thank you. If you're fed up with getting the sniffles every time a sniff breeze comes through town, when you go paleo, your immune system will thank you. Natural foods are very useful for boosting the production of white blood cells and antioxidants inside your body and preventing or crushing simple diseases like the common cold. This diet is also going to help you heal faster, reduce inflammation, and it's also going to maintain a healthy sugar balance. Now, as a result, you can limit your glucose consumption significantly. And by maintaining your glucose level, you are able to prevent a lot of nasty sugar-related diseases like diabetes, and again, have a more stable level of energy throughout the day. Now, if we were just talking about more energy during the day, that would be great enough as it is. But we're also talking about better sleep at night. By adopting this change, you can produce more serotonin in your body. And when your brain kind of steadily releases this hormone throughout the day, you're going to sleep well at night. So these are just a few of the benefits you will get when you follow paleo for a short amount of time. And as much as we've talked about how important this diet is from a macro perspective, what's really important is what it can do for you on an individual level. Now, this is a fact, all right? It hasn't changed, and it won't change. Health is wealth, and it's always smart in any situation to make your health your top priority. Now, a good and healthy life is based on two vital aspects, food and healthy habits. And paleo is an almost perfect solution for people who want to improve their overall health. But the cold facts are, not all people are ready to integrate this diet into their day-to-day life. It's important to mentally prepare for the paleo diet before you adopt this lifestyle to your life, because if you don't, you'll get discouraged and quit. Now, there are some preparations you have to do in order to help overcome the emotional or physical challenges that you might have. So take some time to prepare yourself for adapting to paleo. There are some simple things that you can do here, and a little effort, greasing the skids, can create great results later on. Now, first, you need to have a goal. It is always important to have a strong vision of where you're going. Now, everybody has different goals, and obviously, it's impossible to have any successful diet without your own. So sit down with some old-fashioned pen and paper and write down your paleo targets. Make sure to study the benefits you'll get from paleo. By learning about these benefits and constantly drilling them into your brain, you can motivate yourself to get started. You also need to be okay with failure. Understand most people don't follow a diet perfectly on their first day out, and everybody can't follow a diet successfully the first time they try it. So try to come up with some ideas to solve your cravings and know the challenges, and if you fail, don't sweat. Just resolve that you're going to get right back on the horse and keep trying. It's not really over until you've completely given up. You should also consider teaming up with other people. This is another important thing you can do to motivate yourself when adopting paleo, and it might be the biggest difference between success and failure. Try to find someone else who wants to improve their health and get them on the paleo bandwagon. It's a good idea to tell them about the benefits that are offered by this diet. Finding a good partner or two, or using the buddy system, is a great method to use. Remember that even if you don't have a friend who's interested in this diet, there are tons and tons of online communities where you can learn new information, where you can track your process, and where you can keep accountability. Remember that changing your diet is very challenging for most people. So be prepared mentally. Set modest and realistic goals, and absolutely consult with professional doctors to talk about your medical history. Going paleo means a little change in your life, but to keep things simple, just always ask yourself, am I eating real food right now? Try to stay away from toxins and processed foods and consume green and natural stuff. This will keep you away from hormonal imbalance, inflammation, and all that other bad stuff as we move forward. So, what's the deal with cholesterol? As you may know already, there are two types of cholesterol. The good cholesterol, HDL, high-density lipoprotein, which aims to keep cholesterol away from your arteries and lower the risk for heart disease, and the bad cholesterol, which is LDL, or low-density lipoprotein, which is known to form plaque on your arteries. While the latter one causes cell oxidation and wreaks havoc on the arterial walls, the first one actually helps the arteries and reduces inflammation. And this is why it's important to lower the levels of LDL and increase the levels of HDL. Fortunately, you can easily do that by making some small dietary changes. So, what are the most notable dangers of high cholesterol? High cholesterol poses a series of serious health threats. It's known to increase the risk for atherosclerosis, which is almost never accompanied by obvious signs, and it can also lead to cardiac arrest. Now, in a nutshell, atherosclerosis refers to the accumulation of cholesterol on the walls of your arteries, and it's similar to plaque, and it can reduce the blood flow through your arteries. Now, one of the most common symptoms of atherosclerosis is chest pain. Now, this usually precedes a coronary artery disease, which can be a life-threatening condition. And by the way, this is why it's important to have your cholesterol levels checked on a regular basis. On the other hand, high cholesterol is also known to raise the risk for stroke and heart attack too. LDL cholesterol can both harden and narrow your arteries, which can lead to increased blood pressure, which can lead to either a heart attack or a stroke. Also, high cholesterol can stimulate the formation of blood clots due to the thickened arteries. So, what are the main causes of high blood cholesterol, and what can we do about them? Well, there are two overarching types of causes here. Those you can fully control and those you have absolutely no control over. Now, the first ones are your diet, your weight, and your physical activities. Now, your diet is by far the most important factor, and the good news is you can easily control it by making some diet and lifestyle changes. Trans and saturated fats increase the risk for blood cholesterol, while unsaturated fats and fatty acids lower it. And at the same time, the lack of constant physical exercise is another trigger for high LDL, and it shouldn't be neglected. When you're working in an office, you really need to make an effort to squeeze in physical activity. High cholesterol does have a genetic component, and it can run in families. Now, when this genetic condition is inherited, you have little control over it, and men tend to have lower levels of good cholesterol than women, but the differences start to diminish as both genders start to age. It's important to focus on the factors you can control, though, and paleo can help with that.